Our next guest is a coal miner's daughter. In fact, she is a coal miner's granddaughter, and she is running for the United States Senate in the state of West Virginia. She is challenging Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat of West Virginia, for that seat. Paula Jean Swearengin is a native of Mullins, West Virginia, and she is concerned about the direction of her state. She is a single mom with 4 kids. She's been an activist in that area. Now she's a politician there. So first of all, Paula Jean, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Secondly, okay, let's just get right down to it. Why
Sure.
are you challenging Joe Manchin? He's a Democrat, and a lot of people would say, well, you know, Democrat is okay. Why challenge Joe Manchin?
Well, let me give you a little bit of background. I was born in Mullins. I lived in a community called Iroquois, like the Iroquois Indians, West Virginia, when I was born. And when I was little, we drank acid mine drainage, essentially. We got our water supply from what was called the Swearengin watershed, and our water was orange with a blue and purple film, and it had black specks in it. And until my stepdad got laid off in the coal mines, I thought my hair was red until I was 12 years old. Most of my family come from coal mining. My grandfather, my father, my uncles, like I said, my stepdad. I watched my grandpa suffocate with black lung. I buried my daddy at 52 years old with black lung and cancer. My stepdad has heart disease and has had open heart surgery, and he has black lung, and most of my uncles suffer with black lung. And when my grandpa got sick, we moved back into West Virginia around 2001. My kids were little, and I was a struggling single mom. And my neighbor's daughter got cancer. She was 8 years old. Her name is Destiny. And there was another little girl in a community next to mine called Surveyor. I lived in Leicester at the time. And she got the same type of rare bone cancer. In my community, there was about 8 people in just 2 blocks that had cancer. So I lived in a cancer cluster area. And it was the beginning of my awakening. And I realized that there was something really wrong. And remembering back about drinking the acid mine drainage, you thought things would have changed, but there's still a lot of people in the southern coalfield region that live with water issues, have to deal with air pollution. There's not a stream in the southern district that's not been impacted by coal pollution. And I started worrying every day if my kids would get cancer too. So I started being active. I became a social and economic justice activist. And through my activism, I spoke at the United Nations. When Massey Energy had these commercials out trying to bid coal miners against people that were trying to be advocates for a better environment, they were tell them out-of-state tree huggers to go home. 12 of us moms in the coal fields got angry. We wasn't being heard. We stood in solidarity with the mountains that were being blown up with mountaintop removal, and with Destiny and my father and the people that had suffered with cancer, and we shaved our heads at the Capitol in 2012. I've lobbied, I've rallied, I've done everything that I could, and my biggest awakening was when Jim Justice, one of the biggest polluting coal barons in West Virginia, became my Democratic governor. Currently, he has a mountaintop removal mine 3 miles from my house, and he's putting silica dust in my kids' lungs every day. The last time I spoke to Joe Manchin, he was hosting a town hall in Charleston. I got off work and somebody called and said he was there. I was a poor single mom. I rushed to get to Charleston, got an IOU at the tolls to beg him one more time to help us. When I got there, I explained to him that we wanted clean water, we wanted clean air, we wanted clean and safe jobs, and we wanted a prosperous West Virginia. He tried to bid the coal miners in the crowd against me and told me we would have to agree to disagree. He told some of my colleagues that were activists, if we didn't like it, that we could primary him and vote him out. Joe Manchin's been our governor, our Secretary of State. He's now our senator. We've seen nothing but an economic decline in West Virginia. What used to be high-wage jobs has evolved into low-wage service jobs. Some people live in impoverished conditions comparable to a third-world country. With the decline in the market for coal, I've seen some of my neighbors go hungry. When the market for coal went down, when my stepdad got laid off, I went hungry. We're tired. We want change. Most of our incumbents are in bed with Big Pharma and the coal company and the gas companies, and they're not thinking about our communities. Trillions of dollars has went out of my state for coal, but we've not seen anything come back to us. So I don't feel like there's any other choice. I've done everything I could but cut my leg off. If he can't do his job, then we'll do it ourselves.
So basically, actually, Joe Manchin suggested you run, huh? It was his idea. Yeah. I'm sure he didn't mean it, but okay, Paula Jean, it's a powerful story and a compelling story, and I send you, I'm sure on behalf of my audience as well, you know, our deepest sympathy for your losses and for what you've been through. Now you've got what I would call a whole political machine that yes. You're up against. I mean, is that a fair statement, first of all?
Yes, we've been up against a political machine and a corrupted political machine for a long time.
So how are you, I mean, you're going to get this question, I'm sure you've had it already. How are you, you know, one mom, one citizen of West Virginia, going to go up against the big coal mining interests with all their money and all their connections in politics in both parties in your state? How do you have a shot of unseating Joe Manchin in this race?
Well, what we've seen is a big national grassroots movement. I've gotten national endorsements for from organizations like Brand New Congress, Justice Democrats, All of Us, Revolution Funding. A lot of groups have gotten behind me. I've got a lot of public support. A lot of people are tired of Joe Manchin, and they're tired of incumbents like him. I'm running a people-funded campaign. I launched my campaign May 8th of this year, and since that time, I have gotten over $150,000 in my campaign account, and it's been from small donations. The average donation has been $14.25. I know that I don't have the name recognition like Joe Manchin does, so we are building a campaign across the state. I'm out as much as I can. We're building county coordinators, regional coordinators, volunteers, the normal things that campaigns do. But, you know, Joe Manchin's got, what, $4 billion, I can't remember right now, in his campaign account. I don't think you need that to win a campaign. I think that I need votes more than I need money. Of course, advertising is important, but I believe in the power of the people in West Virginia. We have fought many labor struggles and won, and people have woke up to the point that we are ready to beat the streets and make things happen. I've been supporting a lot of local candidates as well. We're seeing a big change in our government here. I'm hoping that anybody that will run for our local offices and federal offices to bring change, and we're seeing that across the nation too. But West Virginia, especially after Bernie Sanders and everything that's happened here, I think he kind of lit a fire, and people are ready to step up and create the West Virginia that we deserve.
Well, you know, and I was going to mention Bernie Sanders, and full disclosure for anyone in our audience who doesn't know, I was a writer for the Bernie Sanders campaign, but Bernie did pretty well in the presidential primary in West Virginia, didn't he?
He won all 55 counties.
Yep, so there you go. So that's a good sign for someone like you, and you know, running against Joe Manchin, who I would call an establishment Democrat, and. Right. So let me ask you this then. You're going to get this question a lot. I'm sure you've also gotten this one a lot already. Okay, what are you going to do? Look, first of all, I think you and I would probably agree Trump was lying about what he was going to do for coal miners in West Virginia. We know that. But what do we do for the coal miners and other working men and women of West Virginia? They need jobs, they need decent wages. How are we going to do that without the coal that's killing and injuring people in your state?
Well, with the market decline, people are already going hungry. We don't have a plan B. I know other parts of the state, they have a little bit better chances as far as an infrastructure and economic infrastructures as opposed to the coal fields. But as it stands right now, we don't have a plan B in the coal fields. And my vision for West Virginia is to build a diverse economic infrastructure. Because through my travels throughout the state, not only have we dealt with the singular industry economy in the coal fields, but I'm hearing with the pipelines and the fracking that other areas like Ritchie County, down in Wheeling, down in Weston, not only are those the singular industry economy coming in, a lot of those jobs are being outsourced. So West Virginians are not even getting the opportunity to have access to those types of employment. So I think that one of the first things is legalize cannabis. We can see a 6 to 8 month economic turnaround if we legalize cannabis in Appalachia. We can also, it's one resource, hemp on mountaintop removal sites. They're not fit for a rattlesnake, but that's one thing that'll clean the soil, and we can actually get income off those sites instead of them sitting up there doing nothing after they destroyed the land. But renewables. We can also manufacture those in West Virginia, biofuel, agriculture, tourism. There's all kinds of things that we can tap in. We can build an investment bank in West Virginia. We've seen trillions of dollars go out, but we can see that come back in West Virginia. But we have to make sure that we have people that's representing West Virginia that's not going to be bought off and only cater to certain corporations. And we're welcoming, and we build our infrastructure, like our roads. We build up our educational system, and we're inviting to other businesses like Amazon and Facebook that want to come to Appalachia because we have good roads, we have good schools, and we make, and it's not a toxic waste dump, and people want to come here and live. There's several things that can be done that hasn't been done, and it's just having people that's going to have the vision to represent us instead of big corporations.
So let me ask you this one last question, Paula Jean
Sure.
Swearengin. Okay, let's say you beat Joe Manchin, you beat the Republican, you come here to Washington, which fortunately for you is not as long a drive as it is for some other senators.
Right.
You're not coming from Hawaii or anything, but you get over here, you stand up in the Senate for the first time. What's the first thing you say to the United States Senate and the people of the United States of America? Have you thought about that?
I haven't, but some words come to mind. West Virginia's laid the platform for cultural genocide across this country. There's people living in Flint and Standing Rock and other places across this country that shouldn't have to beg for a clean glass of water and a job too. And it's time to make Appalachia great again and America great again by investing in our people instead of big corporations. And it's time for us to get and work for the people, because this nation was built by the people and for the people, and the working class deserves working class representation.
Well, you know what, Paula Jean? I think you're awesome. And so I do have one more bonus question, which is,
Sure.
where can people go to find out more about your campaign and maybe pitch in if they feel like it?
Okay, so on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, it's Paula Jean 2018, and my website is paulajean2018.com.
All right. Well, thanks for all the service you've already provided to the people of West Virginia in your work, and thanks for running this campaign, and thanks for coming on the program, Paula Jean Swearengin.
Thank you so much for having me on and helping us out too.